poor father's dream. Once upon a time in a small village, there lived a poor father named James. He worked hard every day in the fields, but no matter how much effort he put in, he couldn't earn enough money to give his family a better life. James lived with his wife, Maria, and his young son, Sam, in a small wooden house. Sam was a happy child who never complained about being poor, but James dreamed of giving him more, especially the opportunity to go to school. Each evening, after a long day of work, James would sit by the fire, his face tired, his hands rough from working in the fields. He often spoke to Maria about his dream for Sam. "I wish I could send him to school," James said one night. "But we barely have enough money to eat." Maria smiled gently. "You've always worked hard for us, James. Maybe things will change soon. We just need to keep believing." That night, James couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Sam's future and how he wanted something better for him. Suddenly, he had an idea. There was a big city not too far from the village, and James had heard that people could find better jobs there. Maybe, if he went to the city, he could earn enough money to pay for Sam's education. The next morning, James told Maria his plan. "I'll go to the city and find work," he said. "I might be gone for a few months, but if I find a good job, I can save enough for Sam's school." Maria was worried. "The city is far away, and what if you don't find work? How will we survive without you here?" James smiled. "I know it's a risk, but I have to try. I can't give up on Sam's future." So, with a heavy heart, James packed a small bag and said goodbye to his family. Sam hugged him tightly, saying, "Come back soon, Papa." James walked for 2 days until he reached the city. The city was big and bustling, filled with people rushing everywhere. James felt nervous, but he reminded himself that he was doing this for Sam. For days, James searched for work. He knocked on doors, visited shops, and asked everyone if they needed help, but no one wanted to hire him. People looked down on him because his clothes were old and his hands were rough from farming. Weeks passed, and James still hadn't found a job. His money was running out, and often he had to skip meals. But he refused to give up. He kept thinking about Sam's future and how important it was for him to succeed. One evening, as James sat on a bench, feeling hopeless, an old man approached him. "You look troubled, my friend. What brings you here?" James shared his story, how he had left his family to find work in the city so he could send his son to school. The old man listened and then smiled kindly. "I know someone who can help you. There's a factory down the street looking for workers. The pay isn't great, but it's something." James thanked the old man and hurried to the factory. The owner, Mr. Brown, was a stern man, but he agreed to give James a job cleaning machines. "The work is hard, and the hours are long," Mr. Brown warned, but James accepted without hesitation. For months, James worked tirelessly at the factory, waking up before sunrise and finishing after sunset. The work was difficult and his body often ached, but he never complained. He knew why he was doing it: for Sam's future. Slowly, James saved enough money, little by little, for Sam's education. Back in the village, Maria and Sam missed James deeply. Sam often asked his mother, "When will Papa come home?" Maria, unsure, would always say, "Soon, my dear. He's working hard for you." Finally, after months of hard work, James saved enough money to return home. His heart was full of joy as he thought about reuniting with his family. He had done it. He had earned enough to send Sam to school. When James arrived back in the village, Sam ran to him, wrapping his arms around his father. "Papa, you're back," James smiled, tears in his eyes. "Yes, I'm back, my son, and I have something for you." That evening, James gave Maria a small bag filled with the money he had saved. "This is for Sam's schooling," he said proudly. Maria looked at him with tears of pride in her eyes. "You did it, James. You've given our son a chance for a better life." From that day on, Sam went to school and studied hard. He knew how much his father had sacrificed for him, and he was determined to make him proud. As the years passed, Sam grew up to be a successful man, but he never forgot the love and sacrifice of his poor father, who gave him everything he could, even when he had almost nothing. The end.